Hey, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my March reading wrap up. It is currently like April 2, so I'm like, oh, I think it's time. So I was reading literally from the start of March to the very last day of March. So I couldn't film this beforehand, so it's coming out a little bit late, but that's fine. Just a warning, this is going to be total spoilers. I'm really going to go in depth and talk about these books and what I think about them. So if you're interested in reading any of these books and you don't want spoilers, I would definitely skip through the sections where I actually really speak in depth about them. I had 7 books on my TBR this month and I read all 7 books plus a few extras. So let's go through rapid fire of the books I read in the order of how I read them. Book number 1 is Where the Crawdads Sing. Then I listened to an audiobook of The Simple Wild, Love in Other Words, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. Then I did The Gatecrasher by Madeline Wickman. Then I did Bridge to Haven by Francine Rivers. Then I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia Fairies, Map of the Otherlands, and Conglomerate of Stories. I read the whole Emily Wilde series. Then I listened to the audiobook of Deep Cuts. And then the last book I read this month was Take My Name by Brooke Montgomery. Yes, Brooke Montgomery. And I literally finished this the last day of March. So in total, I read 11 books this month, which is probably the most books I've ever read in a month, like literally ever. I would say my average is anywhere from 6 to 7 books a month for sure. I was really in an audiobook mood this past month, so most of these I honestly just listened to the audiobook, and I did some like tandem reading where I read some and listened to the audiobooks. For some of these I fully read audiobooks or listened to audiobooks of them. I'm an audiobook girl. I prefer audiobooks over pretty much physically reading. I just feel like with physical reading, I have dyslexia, so like sometimes I read things and then I have to read it like 3 times, and then I'm like, oh yeah. And also, especially with like fantasy, reading a fantasy book, it's like, I don't know what I'm reading right now, like when it comes to the names and the languages and the magic systems and whatever. So I thought maybe before we actually get into my reviews of everything and how I rate everything, we could do a yes, no, or maybe a rapid fire of what I read this month and if I recommend reading it. So I thought that could be fun, so let's get into that. Where the Crawdads Sing? Yes. The Simple Wild? Maybe. Love in Other Words? Yes. Just for the Summer? Yes. The Gatecrasher? No. Bridge to Haven? Maybe. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, the whole series, is a yes for me. Deep Cuts, objectively, I would say it's a maybe. For me personally, it was a no. And then Take My Name, also objectively a maybe, but for me, a no. So without further ado, let's get into the reviewing and see what I think of everything. So as I've said like a million times, I read Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and I watched this movie, I think it came out like during COVID. I think it did. I watched the movie because I knew Taylor Swift wrote a song for it, so I was like, get me in there. And I liked the movie, but you know, for me personally, sometimes when I watch the movie and then I'm like, oh, I want to read the book, I never read the book. I need to read the book before I see the movie. Otherwise, I will not read the book, because why would I? But if you haven't seen the movie and you haven't read this book, because I feel like everyone has, I actually would recommend reading the book. I think the book is better than the movie. And I think the book goes into a lot more detail of Kaya's life in the swamp and what she goes through and how she's feeling and what she's actually thinking. And there's a lot of like really touching scenes that explain her so much better and how feral she actually is and how different from everyone else she really is. In the movie, it definitely is more of like a murder mystery. This book is definitely more of like a historical fiction. This was like one of those books that it was really hard to figure out what genre it was, but I actually put this as a historical fiction and not a mystery because I think the last like 15-20% of this book was about the murder of Chase Andrews, but the rest of it was about her life in the swamp, and it really focused on her life in the swamp from like when she was a kid, when her family was leaving, to up until the murder trial, and then the murder trial really starts. In the movie, it starts with her getting arrested, going through the murder trial a little bit. We talk about her whole life and then going back to the murder trial. I think that's to try to get you in. And I was kind of shocked by that because I obviously watched the movie again after I finished this book. And in the movie, they dress Kaya more normal. They make her seem like she's a very, like, she doesn't have a problem socializing with people and whatever, but like she really avoids people at all costs. And she's a lot more just different than I think the movie portrays in this book. So I rated this book 4.5 stars. It wasn't quite a 5-star, but I did really enjoy it. I wish I had a different cover. I hate like the now a major motion picture. Like if this wasn't even on there, I would definitely recommend this. I feel like there's not a lot of spoilers that I can give for this book because it's been out so long and the movie's out. So I did think it was good. Also, I do like a little bit of romance in here. I kind of like it. So 4.5, I would definitely recommend this book. The next book I read was The Simple Wild. I had this on Libby and I had it checked out for probably like, I was in line for several months waiting for this audiobook, which is crazy after listening to the audiobook that there was such a demand for this book. Like several months wait. Okay, like I think I started like 72nd in line or something like that. But I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna last year, and I was like, I really want to read more books about Alaska, so I read Blackwoods, Blue Skies, and I was like, I need to read more about Alaska. And I saw this book about Alaska that was about a girl whose dad owns a charter company, and she falls in love with one of his pilots. Hello, my fiance is a pilot, and it takes place in Alaska, and she like, it's a pilot romance. Like, I was so for it. And sadly, the book just kind of like fell a little flat for me. Like it was like enemies to lovers. I like enemies to lovers, but there has to be a convincing like, oh, I actually am starting to like you, not just like an overnight, like he wakes up and he's in love with her. Like I don't like that. Like I want to see you spending more time together and falling in love. I really like the whole plot of like her dad being sick and her going to Alaska to be with him. I can't remember exactly, but I don't think she knows he's sick. She finds that out there, stays longer, ends up falling in love with this guy, kind of falling in love with his community and everything. And I liked the dad and I liked all the characters. I just didn't like the romance that much. And then I felt like once they got together, like they didn't really get together, but once they got together and like were like, oh yeah, we like each other, and I was like, it kind of fell flat for me. I really liked how her mom, this daughter's mom, was like still in love with the pilot all these years later. And the dad's final days, there's a part I really like about this scene and a part I really don't like about this scene. I like how when the dad is dying of cancer in his final days, the mom actually comes back and spends the last like few days with him, and they get to like see each other after not seeing each other for like 20 years. And it's just like so special because the dad never remarried, never had another woman in his life when the mom did remarry. But they never had other kids, only the one daughter. But what I don't like is all of a sudden the mom's there and all of a sudden it's like, the daughter's like, it's been 2 weeks since my dad died and I'm back home in Canada. And I'm like, we didn't get to see goodbye to your pilot boyfriend. We didn't get to see you say goodbye to all this like community you just built. It was just like, boom. Oh yeah, my dad's been dead for 2 weeks. And like life just moves on, I guess. Like it was so odd. And I honestly, this is a series. Simple Wild is a series. I think there's 2 books still about this one couple, and then there's 1 book about another person in the series. But I honestly think you could read this as a standalone. Like I was satisfied with just this one. It does end off on like kind of a cliffhanger. Basically the pilot like goes to Canada and shows up on her doorstep. He's like, I'm still in love with you. And she's like, what are we gonna do? And like obviously she moves back to Canada or back to Alaska. Like that is obvious. And I did read the other 2 books. I read the kind of descriptions of them because I didn't really want to finish it. And yeah, she goes back to Alaska and like marries this guy, I'm pretty sure. So like, and I'm like, I rated it 3 stars. I probably could finish it if I really was interested in it, but I'm just not. And like the MMC annoyed me so much, like actually annoyed me so much. Like, but then there was times where I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. But then I was like, Rachel, no. Like, no, I would never deal with that type of stuff. You know, I'm just like, oh, I think I like it because it's in a book. I don't. I was annoyed. So I rated Simple Wild a 3. It wasn't bad. It was just okay. 3 for me is just like, okay, there's that. But then we hit the big one because we had our first 5-star of March. I wrote this book in a day. I loved it. I loved every second of this book. I even got the extended version where there's a couple chapters in, is it Elliot? It's Macy and Elliot, right? Yeah, in Elliot's perspective. So this is obviously romance, love in other words, and it's about this girl. It's a second chance romance. Okay, friends to lovers, second chance romance. And it's about this girl, and she's out with a friend, and all of a sudden she sees her childhood best friend / like only man she's ever loved in a coffee shop, and she like tries to leave, and he's like, I haven't seen you in like 8 years. Like, where have you been? Because she just ghosted him for reasons we find out later. And she's like, I have to go. And then they kind of like rekindle, and then we get flashbacks to when they first met. And when they first met, we find out it's just her and her dad. Her mom sadly passed away. And her dad was like, let's buy a little vacation home not far from here just to get away. And the boy next door to the vacation home, she found him in her room, in her closet, reading. And he's like, oh, I like to read here. He was kind of like, who are you? And she's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the owner of this house. Like, that was the vibe he was giving. But they end up hanging out a lot and whatever. And you see them in the flashbacks, like, growing up together. Because I think he's like 15 and she's like 12 or 13 when she comes there. Like, they're pretty young. Maybe even younger than that. Maybe it's like 9 and 13 or something like that. They're pretty young. And they grow up together. They go through a lot of awkward moments together. They're figuring out who they are and everything together. It's honestly so sweet. And it's interesting because this is her summer home, and he has a life and friends and goes on dates and stuff, and she has no idea about it, you know? And it's not that he's keeping it a secret, but it's just like he has a whole nother life that she doesn't know about. But when she comes here, like, he drops everything to be with her. And it's honestly, like, it truly is just, like, such a sweet and good book. Like, and their thing is, like, give me a word. Like, what's your favorite word right now? Or, like, say a word. And they'll just, like, say a word. And like, they trade books, and they're learning about life and growing up and being adults through reading and sharing each other's tastes in books. And it's just, oh my gosh, I literally could not, like, if I could wipe my memory and read this book again, I would. Like, I think if I reread this, like, 6 stars. 6 stars. If you can get the extended book with, like, the extended chapters, I would definitely do that. I don't know if I got this at Barnes & Noble or if I got this at, like, on Amazon. I think I got this at Barnes & Noble's. Like, how does this not draw you in? Camp, coffee, candles, books. Like, cute. It's really cute. But yeah, I rated this 5 stars. It was so good. If you haven't read this, I also feel like this might be a good romance. Like, if you don't really like romance, you don't really like the romance genre, you think it's cringy, I think you might like this. And there's a lot of, like, other things in here, like her relationship with her dad and her grief with her mom and other people in her life, and how he feels with his siblings, and them reconnecting, and her not knowing why he did the things he did, and him not knowing why she did the things she did. It was so good. So, love in other words, 5 stars, would definitely recommend. Then we literally, like, they hit the Pentagon, like, with this one, because I read a 5-star romance, and then I read another 5-star romance back to freaking back. Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is the first book I read by Abby Jimenez. I know there's, like, interconnected series. I don't care. This looked good and colorful, so I got it. This book was so funny. I keep, like, leaning forward and, like, cutting off the top of my head. This book was so funny. Like, incredibly funny. I don't know if it technically was the prologue. Was the beginning the prologue? Yeah, the prologue is kind of like a Reddit thread, basically. And it's so funny. And I listened to this on audiobook, and I did stop myself and I read it in 2 days instead of 1. I probably definitely could have finished this book in 1 day if I let myself. But I regretted reading this in 1 day, so I was like, okay, we'll make this 2 days. I literally, like, had, like, maybe, like, 3 chapters left of this on day 2, but, you know, I really wanted to savor this. This is about this guy, and he posts a Reddit thread about how he is mad at his roommate, so he bought a dog at the shelter, the ugliest dog he could find, and named it after his roommate because his roommate stole his girlfriend and moved out, and didn't really steal his girlfriend. This guy's thing, he said kind of briefly, like, I am a guy where every single girl I've dated, they break up with me and then find their soulmate, and then they get married to that person. And that happened to him and his best friend, and then his best friend moved out and then left the rent for this guy and whatever. Anyway, this girl named Emma sees this, and Emma's a traveling nurse. And I think at the time she was in like, I don't know if she was in California or somewhere. And she saw this Reddit thread and she's like, so she messaged him. She's like, oh my gosh, like I have the same thing. Like all the guys I date, they break up with me and then find their soulmates. And he's like, we should meet up, date each other. And then when we break up, we'll find our soulmates. She's like, oh, I don't know. She's a traveling nurse with her best friend / like adopted sister. Emma's mom, she got taken away from her mom when she was young and got put in foster family, and they wanted to adopt her, and she was like, no, she's always waiting for her mom, and her like adopted sister ended up being her best friend, and they both like went into nursing, traveling nursing together, and they have a list of states they want to go to, and this guy lives in Minnesota, which is also kind of fun because I'm from Iowa and I recognize some of the things he was talking about. He was like, you should come to Minnesota and we can do this whole dating thing. She's like, I don't know, like Minnesota is not on our list of places to visit, like at all. And he's like, oh, well, just think about it. So she asks her friend, her friend's like, ugh, I don't really want to go to Minnesota, but fine, we'll go in the summer. So a few months go by. I think like a couple months go by. She goes there, they meet, Of course, they fall in love, okay? Emma's mom is a crazy, crazy person. No redeeming qualities for me. Like, you can't make me feel bad for her, ever. I will never feel bad for that woman. I was so frustrated for Emma in the sense that, like, her mom, again, like, total spoilers, because I have to talk about this. When her mom, like, never calls her, basically only calls on Emma when she needs something. Emma's mom, Amber, is not a great person, but when Emma's kind of thinking of visiting Minnesota, all of a sudden her mom's calls and she's like, hey girl, what's up? And Emma's like, hey, Mom, where are you? I'm so glad you're safe. Because once she got taken away from her mom, like, her mom never really, like, oh, Emma, like, do you have any money? Or like, oh, Emma, what can you do for me at this moment, you know? And Emma's mom's like, oh, I'm originally from Minnesota. And Emma's like, oh, like, that's crazy. I didn't know that. And so all of a sudden her mom shows up in Minnesota and starts dating Emma's boss. So, like, the head, because she's a nurse, and she's, like, a surgical nurse, I think, a traveling surgical nurse, and the head surgeon is the person Amber starts dating, and they are renting a house from the head surgeon. It's, like, a whole thing. So they're like, oh my gosh, like, Amber's a crazy person, and this head surgeon is going to hate us because Amber is dating him. You are Amber's daughter. Maddie, is Emma's friend. Like, I'm associated with you. Like, we're screwed. And Emma's like, no, it'll be fine. It was not fine. Also, Emma has never done she doesn't know who her dad is. And Emma has never done a test, like a DNA test. So she does one near the end of the book and finds out she has a brother. And she's like, what? I didn't know my mom had any other kids. She's like, oh, this has to be, like, on my dad's side. No, it's on her mom's side. So she goes to her brother's house. This is way near the end of the book, and finds out that Amber was leaving her. There's a really traumatic moment where when Emma was really little, like 6 or 7, she got left in the house by herself for like a whole weekend, and that's when she got taken away because she had no food, nothing. And it was like a 4th of July weekend or whatever. She found out that weekend that her mom left her. She went back to her family home to just like be at a 4th of July be at a 4th of July party with her family, like with Amber's parents and her brothers and sisters and stuff. And this brother grew up with Amber's parents. Like, so Emma's grandparents took in her brother. She didn't know that, and Amber never told them about Emma because she's like, I just wanted to keep you, da-da-da-da-da. And it, like, oh my gosh, it was terrible. And so, like, it was seriously so evil. There's no redemption for Amber. Like, she's just horrible the whole time. Justin is so funny. The audiobook for this had 2 voice actors, one for Emma and one for Justin. And Justin also is, like, a messed up family because, like, his mom is going to jail and he has to take care of his siblings. And him and Emma really hit it off. And he's like, Emma, I can work from anywhere because he's like a digital, like, online person. He's like, I could literally work from anywhere, but I can no longer go with you to these places because I have to take care of my siblings. And Emma is like she won't commit to anything because of her mom messed her up and stuff. So yeah, oh my gosh. This was my favorite read of March. I always have my favorite read of the month in the front of my journal. And Just for the Summer was my favorite read. It was This is also another great option for if you're not really into romance books. I really think you would like this because it's really funny. There's a lot more going on besides just the romance. Like, yeah, her and Justin are going on dates and stuff, but there's also all the drama with Justin's mom and all the drama with Emma's mom and all the drama with them trying to be together and the drama with the hospital and everything. It was so good, but Justin is so funny. No one writes banter like Abby Jimenez. I'm convinced of that. I am convinced of that. Babe, where's the next book? Where's the next book? I actually think she just released a new one, actually. I should look into that. I think she just released a new one. So I'll have to get that because this was amazing. This was amazing. It was so freaking funny. Like, oh my gosh, it was so... Why do I keep blinking like this? I'm like... Anyway, it was so good. I have to stop rambling about this book. I could... 5 stars. If you have not read this, even if you don't like romance, read it. Read it. I was like laughing and crying in the same chapters. Okay, like, yes. Okay, then we kind of go downhill. It's just like hard when you have 2 back-to-back 5-star romances and then you read a romance. First of all, this was in third person. I don't love books in third person. And if they are in third person, they have to be written well, like really well. And this sadly was not. I thrifted this. I picked it because, like, look how cute the cover is. It's pink and green, like super cute. And I liked the idea of this middle-aged woman basically like finding like rich men at funerals and swindling them out of their money. And then she ends up falling in love with one. But the problem is like, this book was really short and I rated it 2 stars. And the only reason I didn't DNF this book, because it was honestly on the verge of DNF, the only reason I didn't DNF this book was because when I was reading it, there was other like plot lines and stuff happening where I was like, what is going on? Like, I have to know what is going to happen next. The romance in this sucked. Like, genuinely sucked. The blurb, I'll read you the little part of the blurb that I thought this was going to be a really good romance. Fleur is the main character. Fleur is not one to wear her heart on her Chanel sleeve, but she soon finds herself embracing Richard and his lovable family. But just as Fleur contemplates jumping off the gold digger train for good and enjoying the ride of true love, a long-buried secret from her past threatens to destroy her new family. So I'm like, oh, he's probably has the little kids and she falls in love with them, da-da-da. No, his one daughter is like 30, like almost 30 years old. She's like 27. His other son is like 16, so they don't need Fleur. You know what I mean? It talks so much about Richard's ex-wife. You get the vibe that Richard really likes Fleur, really likes her, like actually like accepts her for kind of who she is and whatever. Obviously he doesn't know that she's a swindler, but Fleur, no, there was no, she falls in love with his family and she's falling in love with him up until the last chapter. She was trying to get his money. Like, and then the way it ended, she has a daughter, and her daughter thinks that her dad is American, which he is. But Fleur slept with this guy. He told her she was rich, and it turns out he wasn't. She's like, ugh, I'm done with you. Like, I can't believe I fell for that. Well, she ends up pregnant. She's like, really, I get pregnant by this not rich person? Like, I can't even get money out of him for this baby, you know? And so the end of the book, her daughter's name is Zara. And all of a sudden, Zara's dad shows up at the end of the book, and Fleur's like, well, because she told Richard her husband was dead. I hope you can't hear my dogs barking. They're being incredibly annoying. Anyway, this book was bad. It wasn't great. The other plot line with like other people trying to swindle to try to get Richard's money along with Fleur at the same time was like kind of interesting, but overall, it was not good. You know, I never find books that I'm like, I should read this. Like, it looks cute at a thrift store. Like, I've never had good luck. But I like to give things a chance, you know? I like to give them a chance. Okay, then after The Gatecrasher, I read Bridge to Haven by Francine Rivers. I love Francine Rivers. I love all of her books. I haven't read all of her books, but honestly, most of the books I've read by her, except like 2, maybe now 3, have just been okay, but I really love her writing. This book kind of fell flat for me. First of all, it is so thick. It's a pretty big book, and the font is like decent size. It's such a big book, and I felt like there was so much fluff in this. So this book is about Abra, and the prologue is the pastor of Haven. The town is called Haven, so bridge to Haven. There's literally a bridge that goes into Haven. Multiple meanings to that. But this pastor finds Abra under a bridge as a baby and takes her in. His wife is super sickly, and she's like, we have to adopt her. And he's like, no, girl, like, you're too sick to take care of her. We can't do that. Well, then they end up taking care of her till she's like 4, but his wife gets really ill and ends up passing away. And he's like, Abra needs a mom, like, she can't live with us. So he lets another family in town adopt her. I don't think she was ever, like, officially adopted, but she gets adopted by this other family. And this pastor has a son named Joshua who's like 3 or 4 years older than her. And it's, I mean, yes, she was raised with him until she was 4. That's her love interest, okay, Joshua. Which at first I was like, is this gonna be weird because like they grew up together? But not really. Like once she moves in with this family, she doesn't see him for a few years, and then they start seeing each other more when they're teenagers. He goes to war in Vietnam. This is during the 50s and 60s. He goes to war, and Abra's having a really hard time with who she is. You know, everyone knows her as the girl who they found on the bridge. Like, that's how they know her. That's who they think she is, and she doesn't know who she is. Like, she's like, this is what people tell me to be, you know. She's having troubles with her adopted family, the 2 parents and then the daughter of the adopted family. She likes them, but you know, it's just hard. And this is like in the little blurb on the inside of the book. But the whole thing is that Abra gets swept up by this bad boy, and they leave town, and she ends up in Hollywood with this bad boy, okay? That doesn't happen till like 30% into the book. And I'm sorry, but like for you to reveal something like that, like 30% in, like that could have been like oh, I didn't know this was gonna happen. Like, you know, make it interesting. But the whole time I'm like, when is this gonna happen? It was honestly like 30-35% into the book before we met this bad boy and she got swept up. And of course she gets swept up and she makes all these bad decisions, and she lives with this guy, like, and with his mom and whatever for like, I think like almost a year or 2. And he's like over her, so he gets this one director guy who was known for like sleeping with the girls that he like signs on for contracts, and ends up like basically being like, hey, take her. And she's like, well, where else am I gonna go? Like I've made all these mistakes, like I can't go back home and like my tail between my legs. So she goes with this director. He signs her, you know, her hair is like supposed to be like this like auburn red color, has her dye it black, and she becomes Lena Scott. And this is where the book started getting like boring to me, was because the whole concept of her like getting, like, she ends up living with this director, ends up marrying him and whatever, but so much of her life in Hollywood is like, then I went to the hair salon, and then I went here, and I met this person, and then I went to this rehearsal, and I met this person. Paragraphs upon paragraphs of just like this is not important, this is not important. I was like skipping full paragraphs, and like sometimes I'd like skim through it, I'm like, oh, and then I would like skip the whole page. Because I'm sorry, like I think the author really wanted us to understand like how busy and like how overworked she was getting. There's, I feel like, better ways to do that, and with how thick this book is, I literally think you could have probably taken out 100 pages of this book with how much extra stuff was in there. The plot about Joshua and stuff too was good. I did like that. But the one thing I really like about Francine Rivers' books is how there is always this undercurrent of the Holy Spirit throughout these characters' lives and the connections and how God brings people back together and redeems people. I felt that with all of her books, even the ones I wasn't really a fan of, except this one. It focused so much on, like, when it came to her, she had like a couple people, like there's like a couple instances while she was in Hollywood where she like thought about God, and then besides that it was like, oh, I'm so busy and I'm sleeping with this guy and I'm making all these decisions and I don't want to be. Where with Joshua, it was like he was in constant prayer and he was always praying about her. But I always feel like there's like this inkling in the back of all of her characters' minds of the Holy Spirit, and there's always that voice. And with this one, it didn't have that till maybe the last like 20% of this book. And I just would think it was really missing that. I think if we focused more on that aspect of it and less of like what she was doing and all the mundane things she was doing in Hollywood, I think this book could have been a little bit higher. I rated this 3.5 stars, so it's not that I hated it. And I really, really enjoyed her and Joshua's love story, especially at the end. This is also the other thing. She was married to this director. She ends up being like, I'm so sick of this life. She steals all his money out of his safe, rips up her contract, and she leaves him a note being like, I never loved you. Bye, don't look for me. I hate you. And then the next day she hears on the news that because I was wondering, I was like, oh man, like I wonder how they're gonna deal with her falling in love with Joshua, but like being married yet. Well, the guy ends up killing himself. I was like, oh, how is she gonna like get out of this marriage and be with Joshua? I was hoping that'd be more of a plot. It really wasn't. Like literally like the next couple pages, you're like, the director killed himself, and I just kind of felt like that was an out. I see where that it made her feel really guilty about everything that she said to him and stuff and regretted her choices, but I'm also like, that was kind of a cop-out. Like, that's boring. Sorry. I just felt like it was kind of boring, and like, I just wish there's more struggle there. Overall, if you like Francine Rivers books, I do think this is good. I think it is a little overhyped in the Francine Rivers universe. I think a lot of people are like, this is so good, this is so good. This is not her best work. It's good, but it's not her best work. So if you like Francine Rivers books, I would definitely give this a listen. Or a read. I listened to this and read it. Yeah, kind of fell flat. Then it kind of went back up again because I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies on my Kobo. I saved this for last because I knew there was 3 books, and I was like, if I like it, I'm gonna want to read all 3 books. So I read the first book, and I literally think like 2 or 3 days. It was so good. It did take me a little bit to get used to how it was written, because it's hard. I don't really know how it was written, because it's written like she's journaling. She's like, okay, this is my journal entry and this is how I felt, but then it starts off of like, this is how I felt and this is how da-da-da-da-da happened. But then it kind of slowly morphs into like, I felt this and I was in love and I was scared and da-da-da-da. And this was definitely like a cozy fantasy. I loved the little like side of like romance in this first one, and I like how the romance got a little more, and as the series progressed, like I really felt like we were growing in the love of these 2 characters. Emily Wilde has a partner / friend / annoyance at her job. His name is Wendell Bambleby, and he is obsessed with Emily, and she doesn't really realize it, but she has a feeling that he is high fae. So, I also like in this world how the fairies aren't inherently good. Like, most of the fairies are low-key evil, and they like eat people and like kill people and curse them and torment them. And there are some fairies that are good, like Wendell is not inherently bad. He has good qualities. You know, the low-ranked fairies are like uglier and more creature-looking, while the high fae look like people, which is why Wendell like can go undercover as a person. He was exiled from his land. And I'm kind of talking about all 3 books now as one thing, I think, because I read them all in a row. So I rated all of them 4 stars. It was a solid 4-star series. Some books I liked better than others, but as a whole, I rated them 4 stars because I felt like I enjoyed them enough for them all to be 4 stars. I think if you are gonna read the Emily Wilde series for the first time, I would listen to the first one on audiobook for sure. There are some names and places that I literally looked at that and I was like, oh, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, you know? And I could have Googled it, but like, I don't even know if Google would have given it to me. So I would for sure listen to the first one on audiobook, because then the place and the names from the first one that I'm talking about, they reappear in all 3 books. So then you kind of know what we're talking about and who we're talking about and how to say them throughout all 3 books. So I really liked that. Overall, it was really cozy, and I liked how it was more fantasy than the romance. The 3rd book was definitely like equal parts romance, equal part fantasy, but the first 2 were definitely more fantasy than romance. You're solving mysteries. You see Emily's wit and how smart she is. You see how Wendell is a good match for her. Honestly, they're like total opposites, but they just work so well together. I really like it. I wish there was more in this series. I understand why there's not. Like, you can only go so far with it, but I do wish maybe the books were a little like longer or something. I don't know. I just kind of miss it. Or if there's like a little novella or something, I would read it. So that was the whole Emily Wilde series. Because it's a series, I'm not going to go too much in like the specifics of like what happened because it is a series, not just a one-off. So we'll leave that to the divine. Next, I listened to Deep Cuts. I listened to the audiobook. I rated this 2.5 stars. I was like dreading reading this, but it's one of those books where it came out and the movie, I heard there's a movie coming out. So I'm like, oh, I should read this before I forget about it. And then the movie is coming out in like 2 months or whatever. And then I'm like, oh, I really should read that. This was honestly just like, I'm a 90s like edgy indie girl and I love music. I don't even know the names of the people in this book, but the main FMC, she's the type of girl to be like, oh, you're wearing a Rolling Stones shirt, name 5 Rolling Stones songs. Name a song off of every album. Like, she's one of those. Such a music snob, and I kind of get it, like that's the point, but also like it was so insufferable. She was so insufferable. She just kept making bad decisions. She was like at one point like 30 or something and still could not figure out how to keep her mouth shut and like be an adult. I felt like in her real job, it was so insufferable. Her romance with the MMC was also insufferable. I'm like, you guys don't actually like each other. So why are you trying? And when they would, like, it was so off and on. And when they would talk, it was like, if you like each other, just say you do. Just say you like each other. What is this like bickering and whatever. I hated how they actually got together at the end. At the very end of the book, they're together and they're like, you know, this isn't gonna work. The music is always gonna come between us. And he's like, but don't you wanna try? Oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh. And there was some parts about it where I was like, yeah, this is good. It was interesting, like, hearing about, like, the 90s and early 2000s. Like, I was born in 2003, so, like, I really wasn't, like, fully, like, realizing what was going on around me till I was, like, 6, you know? So it was interesting to hearing, like, the 90s to the 2000s. That was interesting, but it was just, like, I was so glad when I ended it. Like, I actually, like, was, like, cheering when I finished Deep Cuts. I think it took me like a week to read Deep Cuts, and the audiobook is like 9 hours. Like, I can finish an 8-hour audiobook in one day. Do you know what I'm saying? So the fact that it was 9 hours and it took me a week to listen to fully, I was like, it was not great. It was just not great. I can't even tell you like what it was. Yeah, no, I was so glad when it was done. And then the last book I read in March was Take My Name. This book is another one I thrifted. I thought it was really pretty. It was like a Western romance. I don't know if this is like an indie published book or if this is just a small Willow Branch Mountain. Like, obviously it's published, but like, I don't know much about this. I don't know if it's self-published, and it's a series. But when I went on Fable, like, there wasn't a picture for it. And the only other picture I can find of this looks kind of old, so... But there's, like, pictures in here. So, like, for all the chapters, this is, like, every chapter looks like this, which is super cute. And there's also just, like, pictures, like, how cute is this? And the first scene was really spicy. And then it, like, totally dropped off. I was like, okay, wait, let me talk about what this book is about. This book is about this couple. They get married when they're, like, 20. She goes to New York. He stays in, like, freaking Montana or wherever they are. And they're like, this isn't working. They split up. They're married, though. It's 7 years later, and she's been, like, trying to, like, mail him divorce papers for a while, and he never signs them. He's like, come to my face and say it. And she's kind of, like, still in love with him. She's like, okay, whatever. Well, she gets engaged by this guy she's seeing, so she comes back to his ranch to convince him to sign the papers. And he's like, oh, you want me to sign the papers? Okay, you're here for 2 weeks. You have to spend 1 week with me, and during that week, we are gonna go on, like, a date every day, whether it's, like, at night or, like, a afternoon thing. Like, we are gonna spend time together every single day. And she's like, fine. And he's doing this to try to win her back. She's like, there's something here. Like, I'm still in love with you after 7 years. We're married, da-da-da. It was good. To start with, the first scene was really spicy. I kind of took that as like they're just really young and in love and passionate about each other, because then it really dropped off. As soon as they got back together and she like picked him, which was like maybe like chapter 19 is when they get together, and there's like, so maybe the last like 30% of the book is just like smut slop. And I don't mean this in like a, if you like smut, like, you can like whatever you want. But this was like, there was no plot. It was every single chapter was just that. And then all of a sudden, there's like a few pages of her breaking it off with her fiance back in New York. And then it was just like, that was it. And the last, like, literally the last chapter, I just skipped through it. I didn't even read it. I skimmed through it and that was that. It was just like, also, some of the illustrations in here, there's an illustration at the end of this book. I'm wondering if I can find it, if I'm like, is this real? I can't show you, but, well, that's one of them. That's not the one I was thinking of. I kind of forgot about that one. Oh my gosh, yeah, he's like, yeah, this is a, oh my gosh. I didn't even like look at it in detail because I literally saw it and I was like, I do not need to be seeing that. Like, I'm sorry, like, there's one thing about like reading a spicy book. There's another thing is reading a spicy book with illustrations. Like, the first illustration is them, like, standing next to each other and being like, I'm so cute. The last illustration is him deep, okay? Like, that is crazy. And I was like, I can't. Like, I saw that and I was like, I can't. I literally can't. Like, this is embarrassing. Like, I was not expecting that at all. When you're, like, reading some of that and it's being described as, there's a description about a hole, but you're not sure which one because it just says the hole. Like, oh my gosh. I rated it 2.75. I actually think I should have rated it 2.5. The romance in it was good. Like him taking her on dates, trying to find a way to win her back. I like the idea of them like being separated for 7 years, not actually being divorced, like them coming back together, kind of hating each other, but like also having all these memories of each other. I like all of that. I don't like anything else. I don't like anything else. And I'm not saying like, yeah, I know they're married and they can do whatever they want, but also like, I think how the way they resolved this could have been really interesting with the other fiance back in New York. Like the way they were doing it, I was like, oh, this could be something. And then it was done in like 2 pages. Like there was no dramatic buildup or anything. It was just like, and maybe there was, but I was like, it was like, there was like multiple scenes a chapter, like from different point of views. Like, oh my gosh, it was just crazy. It was slop. It was slop. I think for some people, they would really like this. For me personally, it was a no. It was a no. It wasn't tastefully done. The illustrations are crazy. This was a no. So those are all the books I read this month. I read 11 books. My average rating was 3.25 this month, which I was a little surprised because I have 3 4 stars, 1 4.5, 2 5 stars. But I have 3 books that are rated, or I have 4 books that are rated 3 stars and lower. That kind of brought it down. I read 5 romance books, 3 fantasy books, 2 historical fiction books, and 1 literary fiction book this month. So a lot of romance this month. I was on quite the literary fiction kick for a while, but I read a lot of romance books this month and quite a few fantasy for me. I did read a fantasy series though. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you tuning in to my channel. Stick around for more videos coming up. If you have any video suggestions or questions about any of these books, leave a comment down below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!